Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. I'm your host Sage McSwain, and for today's episode I'm going to be going over the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George experiment that's happening with the Clippers right now. As you all know, most likely, the Clippers have lost to the Suns in 5 this year, and a lot of people are putting into question if the Clippers should continue having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And I thought I'd just make a quick little video on kind of the timeline of everything and how everything kind of just came together up to this point. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are great stars for the Clippers. After their most recent series loss to the Suns, some are starting to question if they'll even work as a duo. In order to go into the Clippers front office's mind, let's go back to 2019. In the 2018-19 season, the Clippers team consisted of names like Patrick Beverley, Tobias Harris, rookie Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Avery Bradley, Danilo Gallinari, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, and Coach Doc Rivers. This team ended with a record of 48-34 and the 8th seed in the West. They had a top 10 offense that averaged 115 points per game, but what really hurt the Clippers was the defensive side of the ball. Their opponents averaged 114 points, making them the 25th ranked defense in the league. They played the number 1 seeded Golden State Warriors in the first round and lost in 6. Lou Williams was the star of that series, averaging 22, 8, and 3, paired with Patrick Beverley's 10, 8, and 5. The 2019-2020 season started off with the Clippers partaking in a 4-team trade that gave them a 2023 first-round pick, Matthias Lesort, and Maurice Harkless. Then on July 9th, they made the biggest splash and signed Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $103 million contract. They also signed Terrence Mann to a multi-year contract. The Clippers added their defense by signing Ivica Zubac to a 3-year deal before the biggest trade in the experiment on July 10th, the day after they signed Kawhi Leonard. The Clippers traded Danilo Gallinari, SGA, and a 2021 first-round pick, 2022 first-round pick, 2023 first-round pick, conditional 2023 first-round pick, 2024 first-round pick, 2025 first-round pick, and a 2026 first-round pick to the OKC Thunder for Paul George, which was a pretty extensive price if you ask me. They also re-signed Patrick Beverley. This new team started Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Maurice Harkless, Kawhi Leonard, and Ivica Zubac. Unfortunately, this season was cut short by the pandemic, and the Clippers ended up being the second in the West with a 49-23 record. Kawhi averaged 27, 5, and 2, paired with Paul George averaging 22, 4, and 1. They ended up with the 4th ranked offense, averaging 116 points, and the 13th ranked defense, allowing on average 110 points. In the first series of the playoffs, they played the 7th seeded Dallas Mavericks and won in 6 games. Paul George averaged 9, 7, and 4, while Kawhi averaged 33, 10, and 5. Then in the Western Conference semifinals, they lost in 7 games to the 3 seeded Denver Nuggets. Kawhi again was the star of the series, leading all stats per game, averaging 24, 9, and 6. Paul George averaged 22, 5, and 4. It also doesn't help them that they were completely dominated in games 2, 6, and 7. In game 2, the Clippers lost by 9, where Jamal Murray had 27 points and Jokic with 18 rebounds. Then in game 6, Jokic dropped 34 points and 14 rebounds in a 13-point win. Then in the closing game of the series in game 7, Murray dropped 40 and Jokic had 22 rebounds and won by 15. In the most important game of the series, this seems like a classic form of burnout by both Kawhi and PG. Kawhi had 14, 6, and 6, while Paul George had 10, 4, and 2. Obviously, those aren't stats that win games, especially a game 7 in a series. Now in this season, depth seems like more of a priority to get Kawhi and PG. Sorry, I just hit my mic. And PG more help. With the first move of help, the Clippers signed Serge Ibaka, Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Reggie Jackson, and Joakim Noah. They also traded Lou Williams, a 2023 second-round pick, and a 2027 second-round draft pick to the Atlanta Hawks for Rajon Rondo. They also added DeMarcus Cousins to the team. This team ended with a 47-25 record and the 4th seed in the West, with the 10th ranked offense averaging 114 points and 4th ranked defense allowing on average 109 points. So definitely a big increase from the previous season all around as a team. Kawhi averaged 25, 7, and 5, while Paul George averaged 23, 7, and 5. This season was and is the closest they've gotten to a championship during this experiment. In the first round, they played the 5th seeded Mavericks again, and the Clippers won in 7, with Kawhi averaging 32, 8, and 5, and Paul George averaging 24, 9, and 6. Then in the Western Conference semis, they beat the number 1 seeded Utah Jazz in 6 games, but in this series, we will see the start of something that will become a theme of this experiment. In Game 4 of the series, Kawhi went down with a right knee injury, which possibly turned out to be an ACL, or torn ACL for Kawhi. But with Kawhi out, Paul George carried, averaging 33, 13, and 6 in the last 2 games of the series to put the Jazz out. With the injury to Kawhi Leonard, he did not play in the Western Conference Finals, which showed in a 6-game series loss to the Phoenix Suns. Paul George averaged 29, 11, and 6 in that series, but just couldn't get over that hump of the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns ended up making to the championship that year, but they lost to the Bucks. But again, however, this showed more promise for the next season, because if Kawhi stays healthy during the playoffs, the Clippers could make it to a championship. And I mean, very well. I mean, they won 2 games against the Suns, and if Kawhi was still healthy, they probably would have been able to beat the Suns, and who knows if they probably would have been able to beat the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks were a good team against the Suns, so the Clippers might have been able to win a championship there against the Bucks. But starting the 2021-22 season, again with that torn ACL, Kawhi was declared out for the entire season. Then the Clippers moved Quentin Grimes and a 2024 second-round pick to the Knicks for Keon Johnson. They signed Justice Winslow. They re-signed Reggie Jackson, re-signed Kawhi Leonard to a 4-year, $176 million deal, re-signed Nicholas Batum. They traded Patrick Beverley, Daniel Oturu, and Rajon Rondo to the Grizzlies for Eric Bledsoe. They waived Yogi Ferrell, traded Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, and a 2025 second-round draft pick to the Portland Trailblazers for Robert Covington and Norman Powell, which was a big move at that time. Los Angeles Clippers traded away Cash and Serge Ibaka to the Milwaukee Bucks, and they drafted Moussa Diabate. The Clippers ended with a 42-40 record with the 8th seed in the West. With the 8th seed, they qualified for the play-in tournament. Paul George dropped 34, 7, and 5, and still lost to the 7th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. As the 8th seed, they were able to play again to try and have that 8th seed in the playoffs, and they were going up against the Pelicans, which I believe were either the 9th or 10th seeded team at the time. And Paul George seemed to be pulled out of that game. When I went ahead and tried to check why, there was nothing really specific, but it just kind of seemed like he was just benched for that game, possibly at risk of an injury. So they just sat him down, and the Clippers ended up losing 105-101, and it was back to the drawing board for the Clippers. Now, they knew they could make it. It was just that neither of their stars could stay healthy. Now going into this past season, they signed Russell Westbrook, they traded Luke Kennard and a 2026 second-round draft pick to the Memphis Grizzlies, they traded John Wall and a 2023 first-round pick to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets traded Eric Gordon to the Clippers. Memphis Grizzlies traded a 2024 second-round pick, a 2024 second-round pick, and a 2027 second round draft pick to the Clippers. The Clippers traded a 2024 second round draft pick and a 2025 second round draft pick to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Denver Nuggets traded Bones Highland to the Clippers. Traded Cash, Reggie Jackson, and a 2028 second round draft pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Mason Plumlee, and they re-signed Nicholas Batum. And the Clippers ended with a 44-38 record after all that moving, and they ended up having the 5th seed in the West. And they had the 18th ranked offense, averaging 114 points, and the 12th ranked defense, allowing on average 113 points. Before the playoffs started, Paul George went down in a game against the OKC Thunder, and because of this, Paul George was sidelined for the first round series against the stacked Suns led by Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. The Clippers won the first game, 115-110. However, in Game 2, the series would be changed dramatically. Kawhi went down with what seemed to be a knee sprain and was out for the rest of the series. The injury later was reported that Kawhi tore his meniscus in the same knee he tore his ACL just the season prior. The Suns ended up winning in 5 games, and as of right now, that's basically where we're at right now in the timeline for the Clippers. The Suns are still in the playoffs. They just lost that first game to the Nuggets, and again, people are just still questioning the Clippers. Now, I did see a report, these are just rumors though, by someone that has been in the sports media realm regarding the Clippers for a while. But again, this is just rumors, but they're just saying that the Clippers organization is just not looking too good as a whole. I heard that they traded Reggie Jackson away just because, he was not a good person at all, apparently. And so they traded him away just because of that. Ty Lue, who's the coach of the Clippers now, him and the front office are just not on the same page. Looks like Tyronn Lue is just throwing like different lineups for no reason, just to get back at the front office for not not being on the same page as him. And they're most likely not gonna fire him because it's not really that good of a situation to jump right in right now, I feel, as a new coach. It looks like they're just not on the same page. And then Kawhi apparently missed a lot of games just ghosting the team. Like, he was just gone, apparently. But again, just rumors. This is all alleged. But nothing really came out about Paul George, which is okay, I guess. But yeah, Kawhi just, I guess, was gone. He just would be gone from the team and just not be able, the team wouldn't be able to contact Kawhi. So a whole bunch of things are just happening within the Clippers organization. Again, this is all alleged. This is not proved whatsoever. So we're not sure, but that's just what's been reported. But as for the Clippers now, people are wondering if they should just blow up the entire thing and call it quits on Kawhi and Paul George. The president of basketball operations has come out and said that they want to keep both stars on their team. Both PG and Kawhi will be up for an extension this summer and have 1 year left on their deals. I think they should continue this experiment for at least 1 more year. We know that they can make it pretty far as a healthy core, so if the Clippers are able to stay healthy late into the season, it may work out for them. But obviously, there will always be question marks around if they can stay healthy. And just for the Clippers, it always just seems like something comes up. In the first season where they make it to the playoffs, they just couldn't get past the Nuggets. The Nuggets were a good team though, but yeah, the Kawhi and PG played both series or just that series, I believe. Oh yeah, they just played that series, and they tried. They really tried. But it's the Nuggets, they're a good team, and Jokic and Jamal Murray, they were just a good team overall, so it was just kind of hard for them to beat them. And then the next season they make it to the Western Conference semifinals, and then Kawhi Leonard goes down. Then, the next season, then Paul George is out now, and then Kawhi goes out. So really, it's just, if this Clippers team could just stay healthy, I feel like this is kind of the same way how people saw the Brooklyn Nets, right? Like, if Kyrie, KD, and James Harden all just stayed healthy, theoretically, right? They just all stayed healthy, they're definitely winning a championship. There's no way they're not winning a championship. Sure, they lost games where all three of them played together, but if you think about it, right, the playoffs is a different type of mindset, and there was always one person out in that trio, and then same for the Clippers with this duo. There's either Kawhi's out for the entire season, Kawhi comes back, and then Paul George somehow gets injured, and then if they're both playing, then there's like the entire team load is just on them to perform and do well, and not much there's not much depth with the Clippers, and I think they just got that this year, and I feel like they finally cracked the code, and then both stars get injured. I mean, they added Russell Westbrook to the team, which I thought was a great move. They changed his role a little bit to kind of fit what the Lakers are doing with him, but add a little bit more to it, and it seemed like it was working. It's just like I don't know. It's just Kawhi and Paul George just being injured just is always the same every year. But again, I think they're probably gonna do one more year. The extension is a little bit interesting because say you don't extend them, they stay healthy, and now you have to re-sign them. Most likely it's gonna be a bigger deal. Now if you sign them now, you can be like, okay, this is a prove it year. Maybe you add an extra year. I'm not really sure what the Clippers are gonna do, but I feel like at least just try it one more year, and if it just doesn't work out, I think that's when you call it quits. They traded a lot of picks for Paul George. They did end up getting those back, but they're kind of somewhat later. So in about next year's draft, I think they're probably or not next year's draft. Next year's draft, they'll probably be able to at least be able to draft the second round. But I mean, yeah, the Clippers. I mean, the future doesn't look too bright after this, and I mean, you can say a lot about those teams in the West that don't have a lot of future, passing the stars that they have. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the Clippers do in the next coming months or so. The playoffs are still going on, so yeah, definitely in the summer, like July, August, we'll see what the Clippers are gonna do to make this team better. I think they definitely know what they have to do. It's just the fact that will Kawhi and PG stay healthy, and are the pieces that they're putting around them going to be worth it to continue? But again, that'll be all for today's episode. Thank you all for listening and watching all the way through. If you're on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and also share the video with anybody that you think may like to watch this. And then if you're on the podcast version, make sure you go ahead, hit that follow button, and leave a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated. But again, that'll be all for today's episode, and thank you for watching and listening all the way through.